I'm Ryan Yamamoto. This is The Minute. The city of Fremont revising its camping ban, no longer making it a crime to encourage or enable homeless encampments. The city council voted last night to reverse the aiding and abetting language. Camping on public property is still illegal. Enforcement is now in effect. Another high-stakes call this morning, this time between President Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. The call lasted about an hour, a day after the president's call with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Following the call, Trump said efforts to align Russia and Ukraine are on track. 7 candidates for Oakland mayor will make their case to voters tonight. They will participate in a forum at Fremont High School. Former Congresswoman Barbara Lee and ex-council member Lauren Taylor are considered front runners. Early voting is underway for the April 15th special election.
You're streaming CBS News Bay Area.
We have one last day of rain in the forecast for us, and that happens as we head into the evening hours tonight. Starting up around 6 o'clock near Santa Rosa, all the way over into Clear Lake, we'll see light to moderate showers fall. That sweeps to the south into the overnight hours tonight, and we clear up pretty fast as we head into our Thursday, Friday, and Saturday forecast with a big warm up right around the corner. Let's zoom a little bit closer to home, though. Let's start up near Santa Rosa. All the way into the 6 o'clock hour tonight, you're going to notice widespread clouds just ahead of the system moving in. But for the most part, this is hit or miss showers that we're experiencing as it tracks its way down south closer to 10 o'clock all the way into the Santa Clara Valley with very light conditions all the way down there. So in total, we'll see closer to around 1/100 of an inch of rain throughout most of the Bay Area. It's nothing to write home about. But hey, on the bright side, we dry up as we head into the rest of this week, heading into a beautiful and warm weekend with sunny skies right around the corner, too. Another thing to mention for our friends up in the North Bay, this doesn't matter as much because we're well above average for this time of year. But you take a look at some of our spots closer to the East Bay or the Santa Clara Valley at 65 or 78%. We could use a little bit more rain for this time of year, so any little drop helps. But as we head into the next week, that's not going to be the case. Take a look at the next 7 days alone. Starting off from today all the way into this weekend, we get a big warm up right around the corner from the low 60s to the mid 70s for our Bay Area friends closer to San Francisco and Oakland, all the way over into Daly City and along the peninsula, too. You head over into our East Bay, all the way down into the Santa Clara Valley. We'll actually hit the 80s right around the corner with sunny skies as we head into next week. So quite the contrast compared to what we're dealing with today, but we will keep you updated on those rainfall totals here in the Weather Center. And of course, we'll definitely keep you updated on that warm up that's happening as we head into early next week.
Well, ever since the Supreme Court ruling created a seismic shift in handling homeless encampments, cities across California have taken on the task of removing encampments. Not every local government is taking the same approach, though. San Jose mayor is looking to build more emergency shelter space and at the same time eventually cite homeless people who repeatedly refuse offers of shelter. And last year's point-in-time count showed San Francisco has roughly 8,000 homeless people on any given night. The mayor's office says 36% are trapped in a cycle of chronic homelessness, and city leaders are pushing to increase services to break that cycle. In Fremont, city leaders in Fremont are making changes to their recently passed camping ban. The city council voted last night to revise the policy, taking out language that anyone aiding or abetting people in encampments could be arrested. Homeless encampments are still banned on public property. Enforcement on that camping ban now in effect. Some are calling this a heavy-handed approach. Homeless advocates maintain the city needs to scrap the ban altogether. Our Kevin Coe has the story.
Rob Vai has been homeless since 2019.
I was making good money pre-COVID.
He was a traveling musician who lost his job when the world shut down. Rob moved back home to Fremont, now homeless in the city he grew up in, a city where the way he's living is now illegal.
I should have every bit of rights that everybody else does. The fact that they take that from me because they don't like the way it looks, it's absurd.
In February, Fremont City Council members voted to ban camping on public property. It included a controversial clause, making it illegal for anyone to aid or abet anyone at an encampment. City Council members say they will vote to remove that section entirely and clarify the ordinance does not ban donations. Advocates and outreach workers who worried they'd be prosecuted for providing aid say it's not enough. They spoke out in front of City Hall before the council vote.
You can give, but the person to whom you give has no right to possess.
City officials say the camping ban will focus specifically on high crime areas causing safety hazards. But advocates and people like Rob don't believe enforcement will stop there.
To have the nerve to say, well, we're not going to go out of our way to do anything really like that. But no, you give them the possibility of doing that. Once you give the possibility to do that, they're going to do it.
Sitting next to Rob is Jose, one of many now trying to figure out where to go if he's moved.
City Hall, right in front.
Why?
Where else can I go?
Rob also plans to stay in his hometown, even as his support network is drying out.
Everybody I almost grew up with is no longer in this town. They've been pretty much pushed out, priced out. And I think that's just absurd.
Well, the drug crisis continues to be one of San Francisco's biggest challenges. Health officials releasing new overdose death numbers. 61 people died of accidental overdoses in February, up from 57 deaths in January. That's slightly down from 63 deaths in February last year. The newly appointed public health chief says the city needs to work on getting people into effective treatment quickly and getting them through to recovery. And it was 5 years ago that workers in the Bay Area were sent to work from home, and downtown San Francisco became a ghost town as COVID lockdowns were imposed. Even after all this time, the area is still struggling to get back to its pre-pandemic levels. But with more companies ordering their workforce back to the office, there are some promising improvements. Kara St. Cyr checked in with a pre-pandemic hotspot to see how things are going.
Look at it. It's like a nitrogen CO2 mixture that gives it like that foaminess. So you pour it about this angle. Usually they have Guinness gases for this, and then you let it settle.
If there's one thing Shea Walton misses, it's pouring a pint for a horde of thirsty customers.
You fill it up. If you get a good look at it, it looks like it's cascading, kind of like fluttering down. What do they say? Undulating.
Schroeder's restaurant, where Walton manages the bar, is in the heart of the financial district, and Walton says it's long overdue for a foot traffic rebound.
I kind of like term it as a financial ecosystem, right? We need the workers to come out, you know, that want to come out for lunch or come out to have a drink after work, you know, and by having that, we in turn get business.
Walton's worked here since 2018 and has noticed customer traffic wane as work models shifted.
Then fast forward, and then you had the whole switching to the 4-day work week thing, compounded by COVID. It's the demographic has kind of shifted to like whoever we can grab. Oh, looking guapo.
But lately, there's been a change for the better. A new report released by the Bay Area Council surveyed more than 100 employers on their return to office plans. It shows more people are working in downtown offices 5 days a week compared to this time last year. Abby Royce, a researcher at the council, says businesses are adjusting their work models.
When we recently surveyed, the same kind of pool of employers, we found fewer were bringing folks in 3 days a week. That number went down from 32 to 27%, but the number of the percentage of the workforce coming in 5 or more days a week went from 15% to 25%. It's a pretty big jump.
The council survey also suggests these new in-person policies will become the norm. 84% of employers reported that they've already implemented a long-term policy for in-person and remote work.
We could see potentially as those large employers continue to bring people back at a, increase that frequency, it's possible that smaller businesses that maybe are also contingent on those large businesses coming in.
Walton says Schroeder's restaurant has benefited from this shift. He's seen a 20% jump in revenue from last year, and slowly, more corporations are scoping out Schroeder's for company events.
That's one thing we have seen a huge increase in, is a lot of big groups walking in. So it's incumbent upon us to take care of it.
But Walton says he still hasn't seen that rebound when it comes to individual customers coming in for lunch or after work. Despite the shift away from remote work, the survey shows there's a ways to go, with only a quarter of the workforce coming in 5 days a week. But Walton is hopeful that things are moving in the right direction.
Well, transit numbers also tell the recovery story. BART ridership is still way down. The system has less than half the number of daily passengers compared to before the pandemic. Crossings at the Bay Bridge toll plaza are still only about 90% of what they were before the pandemic. About 350,000 fewer drivers paid the toll last month compared to February of 2019. And there could be more foot traffic coming. San Francisco Mayor Daniel Lurie ordered all city workers back to the office at least 4 days a week by the end of next month. All state workers will have to return to the office by July 1st. The Federal Reserve meets today to decide the next move on interest rates. This morning, we heard from CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger on what to expect today and how it could impact the economy moving forward.
From the Fed's point of view, the only time they're really focused on the market cratering is if there is economic instability or if markets are just not functioning properly. But I think we're far from that situation now. I think they're sort of like, well, whatever, that's markets, that's investors. They're going to look through that. Again, very focused right now, I think they are, on what happens next in the economy.
The White House confirmed a phone call this morning between President Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. It comes a day after President Trump spoke with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Natalie Brand has the latest on talks to try to end the war in Ukraine.
Russian strikes damaged a hospital in Ukraine after the phone call between President Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin.
We are going back and forth at every level, driving both sides towards a ceasefire and driving both sides towards an end to this war.
The White House says the leaders agreed to a ceasefire covering energy and infrastructure, but Russia has not agreed to a full 30-day ceasefire. The Kremlin also noted a key condition for working toward a resolution should be an end to foreign military aid and intelligence.
We talked about a lot of things, but aid was never discussed.
Experts on the region describe the call as a small step of progress, but say it remains to be seen where negotiations go from here.
What seems clear to me is Putin is at a minimum holding out for more time just to try and take as much territory as possible.
Back in Washington, the administration is facing a series of legal setbacks. On Fox News, President Trump criticized judges who ruled against him.
These are judges that shouldn't be allowed. I think at a certain point you have to start looking at what do you do when you have a rogue judge.
The comments follow a rare rebuke from Chief Justice John Roberts after President Trump called for the impeachment of the judge in the latest case over deportation flights. Roberts said in part, for more than 2 centuries, it has been established that impeachment is not an appropriate response to disagreement concerning a judicial decision.
Roberts' latest statement also comes after 2 federal appeals court judges last week expressed concerns about attacks on their fellow judges by Elon Musk and some Republicans in Congress. Musk doubled down on his social media platform today. He responded to the news of a judge ruling against the Trump administration's ban on transgender people serving in the military, writing that it is a judicial coup. He called for 60 senators to vote to impeach the judges and restore the rule of the people. Still ahead on CBS News Bay Area, a family who spent a generation in a one-of-a-kind home says they are being pushed out. The drama over a piece of land on the peninsula.
I mean, it's not too many kids can say that they had, thousands of acres to play in as their backyard.
Plus, Tesla's targeted, from cars getting torched to threatening letters, the attacks leaving Tesla owners uneasy.
But then when I opened it up, I just, my jaw dropped.
And the big event happening right now in San Francisco that's all about gaming and making connections.
We have one last day of rain in the forecast for us today before we start to dry up, heading into a beautiful and very warm weekend and early start to next week, too. I mean, look at these temperatures. Just from today, we're jumping from the low 60s to the mid 70s along the bay as we head into early next week. But before we even get there, we have some showers in the forecast later this evening. That rolls in around the North Bay around 6 o'clock, down into the South Bay around 9 o'clock tonight, and then clears up into the overnight hours. And that's when we're in for a nice warm up right around the corner with sunnier skies and 80s in the forecast by next week in our inland areas.
Well, a family on the peninsula is at the center of a land battle and at risk of losing their longtime home. That home is in the wilderness in the Los Altos Hills, but now the family says they're being pushed out. Kelsey Thorpe explains why.
So, did you grow up here?
Oh yeah, I was born and raised here, which was awesome. You know, I mean, it's not too many kids can say that they had, you know, thousands of acres to play in as their backyard.
For over 50 years, this small slice of land right off the Roos Ridge trailhead in the Los Altos foothills has been home for the Gerard family.
There was a kid that grew up in Los Altos or Los Altos Hills in like the late 70s through early 90s. They would probably remember my dad.
Jeremiah Gerard's dad was Ray Gerard, a man affectionately known across the community for being the local wilderness expert.
You know, he would go to schools and do presentations, you know, how to make arrowheads out of obsidian, you know, teach kids how to make fire.
Jeremiah says his dad came to live in this area in the early 70s after befriending the original owner of the land.
He developed a relationship with Frank, and then Frank actually hired him to start patrolling his land before they even offered him, you know, the home here.
But in the late 80s, Frank sold the land to a preservation group called the Mid-Peninsula Open Space District. When Jeremiah's dad died in 2018, he says the drama began over whether his family could stay. That drama intensified when a tree fell on the family's home last fall, forcing them out and leading to an eviction notice. In a statement Mid-Penn sent us, it said in part that they made a separate agreement with Ray and his wife after 1987 that allowed them to stay but did not include any of their children. Now, with Ray's death, they say they're looking for a reasonable mutual agreement with Ray's wife, but are keeping legal options open if progress cannot be made. It also says the mobile home on the property is not currently being lived in and that the tenant is responsible for its care and maintenance. Jeremiah told us he doesn't agree with their interpretation, that he is not included in the agreement. And he's tried to repair the home, but they blocked him from doing it.
We've been here. We have a right to be here.
Jeremiah says the community has thrown their support behind his family, raising thousands of dollars and gathering hundreds of signatures to try and help them stay in their home. In the end, he says that's all they want.
You know, what's the issue? You know, they have 65,000 acres of pristine wildlife. Why does this small section, you know, have to be counted with that when you've had a family that's been living here for 50 plus years with no issues?
Another Bay Area district attorney could be facing a recall, this one in Contra Costa County. New video shows District Attorney Diana Becton being served with a notice of intent of a recall while entering the DA's office on Monday. Organizers of the recall say they have gathered 121 signatures calling for her removal from office, filed a notice with the county elections office. They claim Becton puts public safety at risk by failing to address crime. This comes after voters recalled Alameda County District Attorney Pamela Price for being too soft on crime. So far, no comment from Becton despite our attempts to interview her. Well, there's been a lot of talk about whether Medicaid cuts are actually on the table. The Trump administration has repeatedly promised they will not cut Medicaid. Instead, President Trump says he wants to cut what he calls waste and fraud from Medicaid. But congressional Democrats are pushing back on the proposed $880 billion cuts to the department that oversees Medicaid. They held a national day of action yesterday with events taking place across the Bay Area in San Francisco and San Jose.
The reason I'm able to live such a constructive life is because of the critical assistance I receive every day from home care providers funded by Medicaid. If there had been a cap on Medicaid, my family would have gone bankrupt, or I could have just died. For many of us, a Medicaid cap is an actual death sentence.
The state says more than a third of Californians, nearly 15 million, rely on Medi-Cal. That's the state's version of Medicaid for low-income residents. While they have become the most divisive vehicles on the roads, more and more Teslas are being targeted ever since Elon Musk started leading President Trump's Department of Government Efficiency. Police arrested a man in San Jose suspected of keying the side of a white Tesla. This happened in a Costco parking lot. They released this photo. Still no motive in the case, but police said in a statement, personal beliefs and frustrations do not justify illegal actions. Then there's this shocking scene of several Teslas engulfed in flames in Las Vegas. This happened at a Tesla collision center overnight on Tuesday. Investigators say the person behind this used Molotov cocktails, shot at the cars, and painted the word resist on the building. They are still looking for the suspect. Investigators are working with Tesla to pull video recordings from the cars. And in Southern California, one Tesla owner in Venice got a threatening letter telling her to sell her car. And she tells Lori Perez, whether you are an Elon Musk supporter or not, this is all just going too far.
But then when I opened it up, I just, my jaw dropped.
When Abby Berman got this letter addressed to neighbor, she thought it was just another realtor asking if they were interested in selling their Venice home. Instead, it said this: "Hello, neighbor. Won't you please consider getting rid of your Tesla vehicle? The message you are sending at this point is, I am a Nazi too. Regards, Rebecca."
I was shocked and a little bit hurt because it's not me, and my husband is 3/4 Jewish. Our last name's Berman, and, it's just outrageous.
Elon Musk and Tesla have been facing backlash for his alignment with far-right politics. A few neighbors who own Teslas in this West LA neighborhood got the same letter, echoing a recent trend in the Bay Area with notes that were even more aggressive left on cars, telling Tesla owners to sell or face open season. The Venice letters might not be an outright threat, but Berman, who got her car 6 years ago, says,
I wouldn't buy a new Tesla now, but, this car is many years old, and I'm worried, honestly, that, it's going to get vandalized or something's, worse is going to happen.
The letter she got with the name Rebecca Z from 2434 Walgrove Ave appears to be fake. 2434 brought us to the back of Venice High School. No one has taken responsibility for sending it. The notes up north were reportedly tied to a group of college students.
Well, Elon Musk has not responded to the California incident, but he condemned the Vegas attack, saying Tesla just makes electric cars and has done nothing to deserve these attacks. Still ahead, we head to the massive video game developers conference in San Francisco, how it's providing a lifeline to bring new people into the industry as many are losing their jobs.
tonight, you might be shocked. I mean, we have some light showers on and off in the forecast for us as it moves its way in from the north, heading into the evening hours from 6 to 9 o'clock. Now, it moves pretty fast, and just on the back end, we're going to dry up pretty quick, too, as we head into Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. But before we get there, I want to time that out just a little bit closer to home. We're already starting to see cloudy, cool conditions up in the North Bay. Those clouds become widespread just by lunchtime. And here we go all the way into our 6 o'clock hour. Clear Lake, Santa Rosa, down into Novato and Petaluma. We'll start seeing light showers move in from offshore. That continues to track down to the south around 10 o'clock tonight. So if you do have late night plans, that's what you're gearing up for. On and off light showers that won't amount to much. We'll see about 1/100 of an inch of rain in areas like Fairfield over into Mountain View, Redwood City, and San Francisco included. So it's not really going to help our rainfall totals necessarily, but something's better than nothing, right? And we're going to dry up fast as we head into the next 7 days. Not a drop of rain in sight for us heading into this weekend. So we're still above average for this time of year up near Santa Rosa, close to average all the way over into the East Bay, 65% right now. We'll continue to monitor that closely as we head into the coming weeks. For the time being, that big warm up right around the corner jumps us up to the 80s in our inland spots by Monday and Tuesday. More on that in a bit. Back to you.
Well, day 3 of NVIDIA's Global Artificial Intelligence Conference is underway in San Jose, and this week's conference is bringing crowds and new tech to the South Bay. NVIDIA unveiling a new chip that it believes will make artificial intelligence better at thinking like a person. The company also announced it's teaming up with General Motors to build self-driving cars. This morning, we asked a tech reporter from CNET about the new partnership.
General Motors is now going to use AI chips and software from NVIDIA to power its advanced driver assistance systems. So let's say that 3 times fast. You might recall that GM had Cruise, its robo-taxi company that it shut down a few months ago. It's now focusing on autonomous driving for personal vehicles. So NVIDIA's AI chips will be used to, help develop that, in addition to helping to develop manufacturing in its factories. So speeding up that process, potentially making that more efficient.
GM also plans to use AI training software in the factory, specifically to make the assembly line robots more efficient with certain tasks. In San Francisco, another big conference is underway, attracting video game developers from all around the world. Lorene Ayub takes us inside the Game Developers Conference that comes during a turbulent time for the industry.
The Game Developers Conference is in full swing this year at the Moscone Center. With an estimated 30,000 attendees, the 2025 theme reflects on the power of gaming to bring people together. Concept designer Tamarius Walker says that is the beauty of the industry.
The gaming world brings people together by creating shared experiences where people from all parts of the globe can play and interact.
The conference features lectures, panels, and countless networking opportunities. A survey by the GDC indicates that 1 in 10 developers report they've been laid off this past year. That's why Tamarius says the conference is so important.
GDC is just an exciting place where developers, artists, tech artists, and just 2D artists alike collaborate and learn just new cutting-edge tools on how to build unique and crafted stylized worlds.
At a time where San Francisco is focusing on an economic comeback post-COVID, Stephanie Hawkins, the event director at the GDC, says the conference is here to stay.
The show has been in San Francisco for nearly 20 years now, so it's definitely our home, and we're very happy to be here. There's so many great parks in the area. It's such a walkable city. There's an international airport, and the Moscone Center has all the space that we can need.
With the excitement of merchandise and memorabilia, Tamarius says the best part of the gathering is meeting like-minded individuals.
This conference is just a great opportunity to connect with other game developers, to meet new people, and to build just lifelong and lasting friendships that just go beyond video games.
An innovative industry with global connections.
And the Game Developers Conference runs through Friday. NASA astronauts Butch Wilmore and Suni Williams are back on Earth after an unexpected 9-month stay in space. They splashed down off the Florida coast with 2 other crew members yesterday.
Splashdown, Crew 9 back on Earth.
Well, the astronauts originally launched in June, but a propulsion issue with their spacecraft extended their mission during their time in space. Williams set a record for women's spacewalks, and the crew conducted more than 150 experiments. Coming up our next half hour in CBS News Bay Area, we're hearing from frustrated neighbors about after a Hoarder house fire threatened their homes, why they say they were begging the city to take action.
I understand it's personal property, especially if you own it, but at the same time, there is a level of responsibility that you have to your neighborhood.
Plus, in the midst of the state insurance crisis, the insurance commissioner took a trip to Bermuda. Why his office says he needed to go there. I'm Ryan Yamamoto. This is The Minute. The city of Fremont revising its camping ban, no longer making it a crime to encourage or enable homeless encampments. The city council voted last night to revise the aiding and abetting language. Camping on public property is still illegal. Enforcement now in effect. PG&E customers getting some money back on their April bills. That's thanks to California's cap and trade program. Electric-only customers will receive a credit of just over $58. For gas-only customers, about $67. And if you pay for both electric and gas, you'll get $125. Today, we'll get a chance to see what's new at Oracle Park this season. The Giants are hosting their annual open house to the media. They will show off their new food, new events, and upgrades to the park. The Giants kick off the regular season on March 27th.
You're streaming CBS News Bay Area.
We have one last day of rain in the forecast for us, and that happens as we head into the evening hours tonight. Starting up around 6 o'clock near Santa Rosa, all the way over into Clear Lake, we'll see light to moderate showers fall. That sweeps to the south into the overnight hours tonight, and we clear up pretty fast as we head into our Thursday, Friday, and Saturday forecast with a big warm up right around the corner. Let's zoom a little bit closer to home, though. Let's start up near Santa Rosa, all the way into the 6 o'clock hour tonight. You're going to notice widespread clouds just ahead of the system moving in, but for the most part, this is hit or miss showers that we're experiencing as it tracks its way down south closer to 10 o'clock all the way into the Santa Clara Valley with very light conditions all the way down there. So in total, I mean, we'll see closer to around 1/100 of an inch of rain throughout most of the Bay Area. It's nothing to write home about. But hey, on the bright side, we dry up as we head into the rest of this week, heading into a beautiful and warm weekend with sunny skies right around the corner, too. Another thing to mention for our friends up in the North Bay, this doesn't matter as much because we're well above average for this time of year. But you take a look at some of our spots closer to the East Bay or the Santa Clara Valley at 65 or 78%. We could use a little bit more rain for this time of year, so any little drop helps. But as we head into the next week, that's not going to be the case. I mean, take a look at the next 7 days alone. Starting off from today all the way into this weekend, we get a big warm up right around the corner from the low 60s to the mid 70s for our Bay Area friends closer to San Francisco and Oakland, all the way over into Daly City and along the peninsula too. You head over into our East Bay, all the way down into the Santa Clara Valley. We'll actually hit the 80s right around the corner with sunny skies as we head into next week. So quite the contrast compared to what we're dealing with today, but we will keep you updated on those rainfall totals here in the Weather Center. And of course, we'll definitely keep you updated on that warm up that's happening as we head into early next week.
Well, all of us have a thing or two that seems impossible to throw away, but neighbors in San Francisco's Richmond district saw how it could get out of hand in a dangerous way. A house fire gutted a home this month, which firefighters said had hoarder conditions. Kevin Coe spoke with neighbors who say they tried reporting their safety concerns before it was too late.
Gianna Cocci says it was about 3:30 in the morning.
I woke up and I saw orange in the sky.
She saw this home on 22nd Avenue in flames and called 911. SFFD says everyone made it out okay, but once the fire was out, it was evident there was another problem.
There was trash, debris, furniture. It was blocking the doors, and some of it was so high up, it was to the same level as the window, making it dangerous for anyone in the house.
Neighbors tell us they've known this for months, reporting their concerns through several city departments, including SFFD and APS. One of those neighbors took this photo just after the fire in her child's bedroom, which sits right by the Hoarder home. Gianna didn't make a report herself, but has been in touch with her concerned neighbors.
The last place I was at, I ended up getting a bunch of mice because my upstairs neighbor was a hoarder. So it's definitely an issue. You know, it's a tough one. A lot of times that's based in mental illness. I understand it's personal property, especially if you own it, but at the same time, because all of our houses are, you know, half an inch to touching each other, there is a level of responsibility that you have to your neighborhood.
Menchaca understands the frustrations, but says reporting is key, even if it feels like it's not going anywhere.
When we have a paper trail, we're able to cite those things and build up a case. It's when people go, I don't want to file something, I don't want to follow up, we're going to lose that momentum. So you have to remain vigilant in reporting.
We were unable to make contact with the homeowner, but SFFD says a report may be sent to the city attorney citing safety hazards. But neighbors like Gianna believe a citation alone can actually clutter progress.
This can happen to anybody. So, you know, I'm very, very lucky I woke up late, but, you know, if there's a clearer pathway than just a citation, if there's more follow-up, if there's other steps we can take, make it clear, make it accessible, and, you know, the follow-through, I think, is the biggest portion of that.
Well, if you live in San Francisco and are concerned about a fire hazard in your neighborhood, you can file a report to 311 or report one online on the fire department's website. Well, it's been more than 2 months since the devastating wildfires destroyed thousands of homes in Southern California. That only is putting a massive stress on the state's home insurance crisis. State Farm wants to raise rates for homeowners by 22% after the fires, and the state's insurance commissioner, Ricardo Lara, says he plans to give the okay if State Farm can justify the hike at a public hearing. But Lara is now coming under some scrutiny after he spent last week in Bermuda at a resort full of insurance leaders. Tom Waite spoke with consumer advocates about the optics of it all.
California Insurance Commissioner Ricardo Lara is under new scrutiny over a trip he took to Bermuda last week for a conference of insurance executives. Lara's critics of At Times accused him of being too close to the insurance industry. Carmen Balber with Consumer Watchdog tells us the timing was not ideal.
There's a couple things here. Certainly would be worse if it had been paid for by the insurance industry. But that's not really the main point. I think most Californians, especially those who are currently trying to recover from the tragedies in Los Angeles would hope the insurance commissioner would be here at home helping them recover from those tragedies, not off on a junket in Bermuda.
We made multiple requests for an on-camera interview with Laura. He was supposed to speak with us over the weekend, but canceled. He was also asked to appear in Sacramento at a hearing with state lawmakers, but the request was made after he had already booked his trip to Bermuda. In a statement, a spokesperson told us this about the trip to Bermuda. Nearly 40% of the world's reinsurance companies are based in Bermuda, paying out trillions of dollars in claims, including those for wildfires. Commissioner Lara delivered a keynote address aimed at guaranteeing insurance companies continue to write policies in California.
Unfortunately, this is not the first time, and certainly won't be the last, that we see the commissioner off on a foreign trip in an exotic locale at a quote-unquote insurance meeting that still raises eyebrows for consumers.
Lara is also facing another controversy, this one over State Farm's request to raise home insurance premiums by 22%. State Farm is scheduled to make its case for why they need the rate hike at a hearing on Friday, but Lara already announced he's giving what he calls provisional approval for the increase.
You have to understand that the estimate right now is about 50 billion in losses, but we won't even know that until all the claims are filed. But when you have thousands and thousands of homes that have been destroyed, we know that it's gonna be very difficult.
Well, State Farm also wants to raise insurance rates for renters by 15%. Last year, the company warned state officials it needed to raise insurance rates to keep up with claims. Up next, can they finally make a run in the big dance? Bay Area team hoping to win it all at March Madness.
One last day of rain in the forecast for us today before we start to dry up, heading into a beautiful and very warm weekend and early start to next week, too. I mean, look at these temperatures. Just from today, we're jumping from the low 60s to the mid 70s along the bay as we head into early next week. But before we even get there, we have some showers in the forecast later this evening. That rolls in around the North Bay around 6 o'clock, down into the South Bay around 9 o'clock tonight, and then clears up into the overnight hours. And that's when we're in for a nice warm up right around the corner with sunnier skies and 80s in the forecast by next week in our inland areas.
Well, St. Mary's tips off their NCAA tournament on Friday against Vanderbilt, and as Vern Glenn explains, a group of Gales are looking to go out on top.
This is the Northern California Honda dealers Madness Minute.
For the first time in program history, the St. Mary's men's team has reached the NCAA tournament in 4 consecutive years. But the Gales are hoping to finally go on a run in the big dance. They have not been past the second round since 2010. Now, this will be the final tournament run for St. Mary's 3 seniors, Augustus Marshallonis, Mitchell Saxon, and Luke Barrett. Head coach Randy Bennett has been in Moraga since 2001, and this senior trio is special.
I don't know if I will ever get a trio of seniors as good as these guys. They're pretty good players, but not necessarily just players, but leaders and just good people and bought into your program. I'll be shocked if we don't end up hiring one of them someday as an assistant coach, if not 2 of them.
With the Madness Minute, I'm Vern Glenn.
And don't forget, you can compete against your favorite KPIX anchors throughout the NCAA tournament. Just scan the QR code on your screen or go to kpix.com/bracket challenge to register your entry. Then submit your picks before the first round begins on Thursday. Baseball season is getting closer, and today the San Francisco Giants are hosting their annual media open house at Oracle Park. They will give us a preview of what's new for the 2025 season. Everything from food to special events to promotions and park upgrades. The Giants kick off their regular season on the road against the Reds on March 27th. Their home opener is Friday, April 4th, against the Mariners. The Oakland Roots are getting people pumped up for soccer ahead of their home opener this weekend at their new home. That, of course, is the old Coliseum. The city held a rally for the team outside of City Hall yesterday. The Roots first announced they would be playing at the Coliseum in August. The team's president says they are excited to keep the Coliseum in business.
The Roots are so honored to call this historic venue our home. We expect that we'll have 26,000 fans there, which is almost double the number that we originally planned for.
Well, the Roots home opener is this Saturday at 2 p.m. Oakland rapper Too Short will perform at halftime. There will be a post-game fireworks show. And coming up, $2 for a burger. We're going to meet a Bay Area restaurant owner serving up burgers for a bargain, while he says his prices are not budging.
Over 1,000 tickets a day, probably 1,600 burgers and double cheeseburgers a day.
This place is so convenient and cheap.
plans tonight, you might be shocked. I mean, we have some light showers on and off in the forecast for us as it moves its way in from the north, heading into the evening hours from 6 to 9 o'clock. Now, it moves pretty fast, and just on the back end, we're going to dry up pretty quick, too, as we head into Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. But before we get there, I want to time that out just a little bit closer to home. We're already starting to see cloudy, cool conditions up in the North Bay. Those clouds become widespread just by lunchtime. And here we go all the way into our 6 o'clock hour. Clear Lake, Santa Rosa, down into Novato and Petaluma. We'll start seeing light showers move in from offshore. That continues to track down to the south around 10 o'clock tonight. So if you do have late night plans, that's what you're gearing up for. On and off light showers that won't amount to much. We'll see about 1/100 of an inch of rain in areas like Fairfield over into Mountain View, Redwood City, and San Francisco included. So it's not really going to help our rainfall totals necessarily, but something's better than nothing, right? And we're going to dry up fast as we head into the next 7 days. Not a drop of rain in sight for us heading into this weekend. So we're still above average for this time of year up near Santa Rosa, close to average all the way over into the East Bay, 65% right now. We'll continue to monitor that closely as we head into the coming weeks. For the time being, that big warm up right around the corner jumps us up to the 80s in our inland spots by Monday and Tuesday. More on that in a bit. Back to you.
People hungry for a chance to join San Francisco's food truck program can line up to apply for permits today. Mayor Lurie, the city's public health department, and San Francisco Fire Department are kicking off the city's mobile food truck roundup at the Alamany Farmers Market. The 4-day event lets food truck owners get their health department and fire inspections and permits in one visit, streamlining the permitting process while giving small business a boost. And at a time when prices everywhere are going up, Campus Burgers in San Jose is still holding up to its promise of selling affordable burgers by only charging $1.99. The owner tells our Suji Nam why he's not planning on raising that price anytime soon.
Jim Angelopoulos says simplicity is key. A simple burger with a simple price. It's not often you can get a non-fast food burger for less than $5. And here at Campus Burgers, a hamburger will cost you $1.99.
We serve people within literally 2 minutes, and that's our goal.
Jim opened his burger shop, Campus Burgers, in San Jose about 7 months ago.
Over 1,000 tickets a day, probably 1,600 burgers and double cheeseburgers a day.
Which means he serves 350 pounds of meat every day, along with 600 pounds of potatoes daily for fries. But in a time of increasing living costs, Jim says his eyes have been on one goal.
Order 53.
To serve fresh burgers the affordable way. He spends about $30,000 on meat patties every month and is concerned that inflation will impact his future costs.
Although the meat has gone up a little bit, it's still, that's my biggest concern is the meat prices in order to keep that $1.99 price.
Jim adds that while his potatoes and onions are sourced locally, their packaging, like the wrappers and to-go bags sourced from China, could go up. But despite this all,
no, I will not raise prices.
Jim says while his margins are low, he is profitable and will continue to keep his mission of serving affordability.
Thank you very much.
Something that William Thompson, a now regular customer, appreciates.
I like cooking a lot at home, but because this place is so convenient and cheap, it makes it a lot easier to come in and check it out. Overall, everyone's dealing with the same things inflation-wise, from grocery to gas prices, and it's just something we got to deal with.
And Jim, who has been in the food service industry for years, says he came up with this business model after seeing how pricey many dishes on a restaurant menu can be.
My goal is to always keep that burger as long as I can for $1.99.
And he hopes he can share his passion with the community, one hamburger at a time.
Well, March is Women's History and Empowerment Month, and today we're celebrating a nonprofit fueling girl power with power tools. Berkeley's Girls Garage is building community and confidence by teaching carpentry, welding, architecture, and engineering skills to girls and laying a foundation for future women leaders in traditional male-dominated fields.
We're all just such an amazing community and can bond together by being strong and by working together to create something collectively.
You can watch the full story tonight at 5 on our evening edition. Well, thanks for streaming CBS News Bay Area. I'm Ryan Yamamoto. We'll be right back with your First Alert forecast and a look at your top stories.